r/ask Reddit. What would have been good advice in 1990 that would be terrible advice in 2020? Be more like Bill Cosby and less like Eddie Murphy. Ice Cube will be dead or in jail while Bill Cosby will always be the family-friendly lovable actor/comedian. Just show up to the airport an hour before your flight. You'll make it in plenty of time. I watched Home Alone over Christmas and the entire McAllister family leaves the house 45 minutes before an international flight and makes it. We just watched the second one, where Kevin accidentally flies to NYC, and he bumps the lady holding all the boarding passes and they spill everywhere, and they're just like Nasport. Go right on ahead onto the plane without us even identifying you and your minor. It's okay. I used to know people back then who would enter a million different sweepstakes and constantly win free stuff. That was back when they were actual promotions and not just tricks to get your personal info into their database. Now anyone who knows anything about the internet should know better. That was my childhood during the 90s. I entered a bunch of sweepstakes broadcasted during Saturday morning cartoons. All I had to do was mail a letter with my name and address and pray that I would be selected. I never won the grand prize, but I didn't win several of the second or third prizes available. They included board games, toys and t-shirts. My favorite prize was my Game Boy Color. Now as an adult, I'm skeptical of these sweepstakes and would never willingly share my information. The one thing I found that is still legitimate and has not changed since the 90s is calling into radio stations. I've won tons of concert tickets by calling in. Snail mail in your resume to HR to apply for the job. Printing it on scented cardstock as an extra touch. For extra gumption, just walked into the office and asked to see the HR manager to hand in your resume personally. This actually worked for me just a couple years ago. I was working roofing and I am absolutely terrified of heights, so I was ready to do anything to get out. I drove by a park and saw a guy mowing grass, so I dropped in and asked if they were hiring. They said no but took my resume just in case. 2 days later I get a call asking if I could come in for an interview on Monday. I say no BC, I had my roofing job, so they ask if I could get there in an hour. So I wash the roofing tar off me and throw on my cleanest shirt. An hour later I am being interviewed for a park warden position I wasn't remotely qualified for, but their warden quit last minute and they happened to find my resume in a desk drawer. A week later they handed me the keys to a Dodge Charger to drive to the other side of the province for 3 weeks of training. It was the weirdest thing to happen to me that had the biggest impact on the direction my life was headed. A video rental store is a good investment. Yep, invest in Blockbuster. It would have been great advice in 1980. It probably wouldn't have been so good in 1990 as Blockbuster used predatory tactics to wipe out numerous independent stores and small chains during the following decade. Unless you were investing in Blockbuster, obviously. Put some of your savings into a CD, certificate of deposit. True 1988 story. One of my childless great aunts gave all of her great nieces and nephews $10,000 to put into our college funds. I put mine into a CD. That $10,000 made $88 a month. Not per year. Month. My teenage brain did the math and said if I can do that a few more times then I'm set for life. Now a $10,000 CD is at about 1.5% APY for 6 months and literally 0.02% for 12 months. You'd make $2 in a year. Even as late as 2007 rates were like 5%. Crazy to think about now. If you want to buy tobacco underage, say it's for your parents. They'll believe you and let you buy it. I used to buy liquor this way when I was 14. I had a lot of facial hair when I was 17. I just let it grow out, walk in the liquor store and buy it. If they asked for it I would say it's in the van. Because only old people drive vans. Normally it worked. Pluck your eyebrows as thin as you can. You'll look so pretty. My mother and her eyebrows that never grew back say hi. Call the video game help hotline to get advice on how to beat a level. PFFFF. I have a subscription to Nintendo Power. Don't need no help hotline. Don't bother with getting an email address. The post office is going to start charging for every one you send. I remember this. Weird. People were actually worried about the post office charging for email. I guess in hindsight that's pretty silly, but I'm sure it made sense at the time. Just so you remember, the year is 1990. stares in 30-year confusion. If your video game is acting up, take it out and blow on it. We've gotten to the point where you can't even blow on it anymore because there's no physical disk if you download it. Crazy how times have changed. Install popcorn ceiling. Paint all your hardwood floors, and those pink bathroom ceramics will surely spruce up your house. I can't stand the popcorn ceiling in my house. This is why I refuse to do the whole farmhouse chic thing. In 20 years my kids will be like, YTF does our house look like a barn? You're a great writer. You should go into print journalism. Oh, look, my entire college career summed up. Always keep a quarter on you in case you need to make a phone call. Now it is good for the cart at Aldi. I have always wondered if there is a rich guy somewhere who gets his kicks by filling all the Aldi's carts with quarters and leaving them strewn all about the outer reaches of the parking lot. Straighten your hair. Hairspray it, then crimp it. Frizz is good. Buy all those encyclopedias from the door-to-door salesman. My husband is some sort of an old outdated encyclopedia hoarder. He is always bringing home old moldy sets from garage sales. It makes me crazy. Well, when the internet goes down and we need to know about old Timmy things, then he will be the hero we all needed, but didn't deserve. You won't have a calculator wherever you go, so get good at mental math. It's still useful, to a degree. I don't want to whip out my phone every time I need to multiply anything, but I'm still doing it if it's a difficult 3x3 digit or more. Go to college. Doesn't matter what you study, just get a degree and you'll have a ton of good jobs waiting for you when you get out. Wife went to Kent State, graduated in 1996, all on student loans. We paid $210 or so a month for 10 years. Would not be able to swing a student loan payment now. You should totally paint your face black, put on a sweater, and go to the Halloween party as Bill Cosby. Just go visit your neighbor unexpectedly. They'll appreciate that and probably serve you some tea. Honestly, this depends on your relationship to your neighbor. I can say that with 3 of my neighbors we can do this with each other. To be fair, they are all over the age of 50. Install built-in shelving to store all the books and removable storage media you've collected. Those obscure Disney movies you like won't be available in 30 years. Remember the going back into the Disney vault bullshit? If you put tape over the holes on the top of your cassette tape, you can record over an old tape. Best way to catch that song on the radio. On New Year's Day, I would have a cassette tape ready to record the top 20 songs from the previous year off the local radio station. Sit there all jumpy trying to get the song to cut off before the jockey would start talking and trying to skip the commercials playing. I wasn't moving from that spot for anything. Buy as much house as you can afford. I don't think we'll see the inflation in big home prices like in the past. Big home sales in my area have been stagnant in spite of the good economy. Don't get in strangers' cars. Hands down best way to meet new people. They're probably thinking of Uber/Lyft, but taxi services of all kinds have been around for quite a while. Get a pager so people can get a hold of you when needed. Get rid of your vinyl albums. In UK, go to uni. Do it now. Take that totally free degree and keep it. Ducking, keep it because it's free. Buy a house. Do it now. Buy that cheap as duck property that will jump in value by 400% in 30 years. Live on noodles and water for a few years because duck it. Your retirement is sorted. Buy a money clip. Monogrammed. Street smarts. If someone is bullying you, stand up to them. You won't get in trouble for defending yourself. I have told my son a version of this. I've also told him he won't be in trouble with us if he does. Well, even go for ice cream. Hasn't happened yet. Getting into a prestigious school, college, university, pretty much the only guarantee to a decent, well-paying job, which in turn makes sure that you will have a good life. Make sure to take a water bottle on your flight. You can bring an empty one and fill it at the gate these days. It's still a good idea. Flying is pretty dehydrating. Don't worry, I'm sure Blockbuster has that movie. When it comes to girls, just be persistent and don't take no. It was actually bad advice then, but it was the advice everybody seemed to give. Be sure to buy the negatives of your wedding photos. I did not buy mine. Married in 1997. The photographer died several years later and his wife was like, I'm not keeping all this, and tracked down as many of the couples as she could find and just gave them, for free, all the negatives as well as any prints that were made but not purchased. Walk around to every local business and ask the manager for a job. You'll be on the payroll before lunch. Buy in on stock. The amount of people here that don't understand the question is staggering. Want a role as leading actress in a Hollywood movie? Try to get an interview with Harvey Weinstein. Buy it from Sears. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.